it has been a strange season this football season, affected the pre-season affected by COVID, and we are seeing two versions of Manchester United. One that is playing really, really good. One, the game against Leipzig, for example, and then there's the game against Tottenham in which we really, really struggled. So why do you think this seesaw of a performance from Manchester United?
Probably look at a couple of reasons, I suppose. The fact that no crowds have been allowed in, or they've just let crowds in 2000, I think that's been a huge factor. I think if you look at the results in the Premier League as a whole, a lot of teams have struggled at home and been okay away from home, and we're very much the case of that, where we keep winning away from home. We have been very inconsistent, very indifferent at home, in terms of, if you look at the Palace, the Arsenal game, the Spurs game, we haven't been at our best. And you look at the Leipzig game at home, which is, one of home games where we have played well. You can blame that, crowds not being in, not supporting the home team, which is huge at Old Trafford in front of 74,000, which of course is due to the pandemic. I can only put that down to the reason, really. We're still a bit inconsistent. There's no doubt about that. Because even in games, as in the last couple of league games against Southampton or West Ham, we haven't played well in the first half and then played really well in the second half. So we're still inconsistent. So we need to find some home form, really, if we're gonna challenge.
Like you said, United have been really good away from home, but some of the in some stadiums the crowd will be starting to come up. So would that affect United's away form? You think it could affect United's away form as well?
No, I don't think so, because it's at the moment it's just in Tier 2 over here. It's only 2,000 fans, and it's great to have fans back, and yeah, they can make a difference. But I don't think it'll affect United's away form. Post Christmas, we'll have to travel to Spurs and have to travel to Arsenal. We've got Leicester coming up as well, I think, on 26th of December away from home. So we've got more difficult away games. But I think with the fans coming in, will that make a difference? I don't think so, because of the numbers. But hopefully, as the season progresses, more and more fans will come back, because the game's about fans. It's about, it's about in any sport. I watched it. I'm not a cricket fan, but I watched a bit of the IPL from Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and it's great to watch. But you still miss the passion that fans bring to the game, and I think that's in the Premier League that it has been missed. But hopefully, they will be coming back more and more.
And there has been one positive for Manchester United throughout the year, and that has to be Bruno Fernandes. Looking at his stats, 12 goals, 5 assists in 14 games this season. Is he the impact player that Manchester United have been craving for these past few years? And could he go on to be compared to the likes of Rooney and Ronaldo, you think?
He's been incredible, really, since he's come in January. He's been our go-to man, simple as. Whenever we seem to be in a situation where we need somebody to step up, he's been the man 9 times out of 10 to do that. He's been incredible, really, not just in his goal scoring, as you said, but the amount of assists as well, and the creativity that he brings. And he's been incredible. He really has. He's been a super signing. He's got that wow factor about him. I played with Eric Cantona, and Eric had that wow factor about him as well. Now, whether he goes on to emulate Ronaldo and Rooney, well, Ronaldo had 6 seasons here, and Wayne had obviously a lot longer than that, and they had incredible impact. I hope so, because he's at a good age, and hopefully he'll stay here for a long time, because the United fans will tell you, if he's not in the team at the moment, as we saw in the first half against West Ham on Saturday, we do tend to struggle a little bit, because he does give us something, that unpredictability that you need in a football team.
And a question on Solskjaer. I mean, no matter how good or bad United performs, there's always this hovering question around Solskjaer's future. Everybody talking about the crisis at Manchester United. I mean, as a manager, is that would that put you under pressure all the time?
I think when you're a manager of Manchester United, you're always under pressure. It's for me the biggest team in the world, biggest club in the world, and you'll always be under pressure. It's the nature of the job, I suppose. And I think ever since Sir Alex retired more than 7 years ago, every manager's been under pressure, whether it was David Moyes, Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, because the world of football is watching Manchester United. So I think Ollie understands that it comes with the territory, it's the nature of the job. And I'm sure he's got good people around him as well to help him out in dealing with that. And there's huge pressure on Manchester United, whether it's a player or a manager. And I think Ollie has got shoulders to deal with that.
You can actually praise. I mean, I think Ole has done well with the transfer windows. He's got some really good players. Bruno Fernandes. He's got Cavani. He's got Alec. And I'm really keen to hear your views on Telles, because he's a left back and you were a legendary left back for Manchester United. So I mean, how do you think these new players, Van de Beek including, how these new players have set up in the Manchester United team, and what are your thoughts on Telles? I mean, that's really I'm very interested to know about.
Yeah, well, first of all, our players we've brought in have been excellent. I mean, Bruno's been a sensation. I think Cavani will be a fantastic addition to us. He's a player that's got vast experience. We saw Ibrahimovic come in a few seasons ago and make a huge impact, and I'm hoping that Cavani will do the same. And certainly he started in that mode. Donny van de Beek is just taking a little bit more time, I suppose. Ollie's just because the pace of the Premier League is much quicker than the pace of the Dutch league. So I think he's just easing them in and easing them out and just getting them used to the Premier League. But Telles has come in. He's done exceptionally well. He obviously had a coronavirus, so that kept him out for a few games. And with Luke Shaw being injured, the position was there for him, and he's played unbelievably well in the 4 or 5 games. First of all, as a defender, he hadn't done an awful lot wrong. And going forward, he's a huge addition. He's got a great left foot. Set pieces, he'll be a huge asset to us. And yeah, I think he will be a really good player for us. I really do. And the signings have been good. They've been really good.
And the next week, we are going to have the big clash, Manchester United versus Manchester City, this Saturday. You've played some derbies in your historic career. I mean, what is the feeling of playing in a derby match? I mean, if you can just tell us about your experience.
It's incredible, really. I mean, for me, when I played in the 90s and early 2000s, we had different rivalries because I suppose Arsenal were our biggest rivals in terms of challenging for the Premier League, but I suppose they're down in London, so I think you got to look closer to the big rivals, Liverpool and City. I mean, Liverpool, because of the history and because of they're only 35 miles up the road, and what they did last year, they've always been the biggest games for me. Particular in the 90s, I think we were better than City, but they've improved hugely. City, they're a fantastic football inside. And to play in those games was great. I mean, I was one of these players that I never lost in a derby game. I think I played 13, so that's a pretty decent record. But yeah, the rivalry within the city, the fans love winning against each other. And as a player in Manchester, playing for Manchester United, you want to beat your local rivals, and particularly now where, I mean, they're a point behind us in the table. They've had an indifferent start, a bit like us, as most teams have. If you look at the table now, actually, the top 6 teams as things stand at this moment are probably the top 6 teams that will finish in the top 6. You just don't know what position they're going to finish up. Although Southampton and West Ham have done particularly well this year, and Everton. But yeah, we want to stay. It's a huge game for us on Saturday because the fact that they're a point behind, and everybody's chasing Spurs and Liverpool and Chelsea, and obviously Leicester are there as well. So it's a big game, but the rivalries are fantastic to play in. It's a shame the crowds won't be in. There'll be nobody there at all at Old Trafford, which is a big shame. But yeah, one of the games I'm really looking forward to it. It was great to play in, and it's still great to watch.
And like you mentioned, the City, the Guardiola appears to be struggling. He looks frustrated on the sidelines. something is not clicking right now with City. So this could, you think it could give a chance for United to get some home form back playing City, which is not the best form right now?
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at a lot of teams, they've struggled at points this year because of obviously what's going on in the world. It's been hard to find rhythm. Teams have struggled at times. You look at Liverpool; they've had some fantastic results, but then they go away to Aston Villa and lose 7-2, which is an incredible draw at Brighton. That's the nature of what the Premier League is about at the moment. And yeah, it's an opportunity for us to get our home form up and running. We beat West Brom recently at home. It wasn't a very convincing performance. You've mentioned Leipzig. PSG, we played at home on last Wednesday night, and I thought we played particularly well, and we're unlucky to lose the game. But we got to keep that form going, and we played very well against City last season and beating them 2-0, and a repeat of the same would be great. And they keep the ball very well. They've got some fantastic attacking players in their side. They'll always score goals. It's the nature of what City are. But we've got to play well, we've got to defend well, and then just hope that, we're in a rich scoring form as well, being of scoring, 3 at West Ham, 3 at Southampton, we won at PSG, but we could have scored more, Istanbul 4, so we're scoring goals ourselves, so we've got to keep it tight at the back, and make sure that we give ourselves an opportunity to play, to attack and take our chances. It's a tough game for both teams, but the opportunity is there for us to win.
And like you said, it has been an inconsistent start for the top teams because of what happened in the preseason, the COVID affected preseason, and all the works. So you think it has maybe opened up a chance for the mid-card teams to maybe push for, get some momentum, push for the top 4 spots, and maybe get a Champions League spot, if not the trophy?
Yeah, I mean, the Premier League is all about that. If you look at what Leicester did 4 or 5 seasons ago, it was incredible, really. And this does open up. It's opened up this year. There's no doubt about that. There's been no pre-seasons, as you said. We've had an extra month in European competition, based in Germany in the Europa League, which hasn't helped us. I think the players literally had a 3-week break, which is probably nowhere near enough. And that's why it has opened up, particularly in the early stage, and you've seen some really strange results. I think as the season progresses, I think you'll see, as you're probably just about seeing now, the top 5 or 6 come to the forefront. But I do hope that Southampton, the likes of Southampton and West Ham and Everton, keep going, because the Premier League is all about challenges. It's a great league to be involved in. It's a sensational league to watch, I think. When you look at, I think Chelsea go to Everton on, I think it's after our game, might be this Saturday. That's a tough game for Chelsea. So many tough games, and I think that's why it's the most watched league in the world, because of how close and how many different teams can actually win the Premier League.
And a lot has been spoken about Marcus Rashford and the amazing work that he has done away from the football, seriously in tackling the serious issue of child poverty. How important that work is, and how important it is for footballers to speak out on real world issues.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus has been incredible here in Manchester. What he's done for the not just in Manchester, but for the kids in poverty in the whole of England, with school meals. But what he's done in this area as well. We're up north. There's a lot of poverty in Manchester, and what he's done and spoke out about and fronted has been incredible, really. I think obviously more players have got the power to do this, and hopefully you'll see more and more players come to the forefront, because this is very much at the heart. You've seen the players of Manchester United donate up to $250,000 last week to the foundation, who are doing an awful lot, the Manchester United Foundation, who are doing an awful lot in the area of Manchester and around the surroundings. But Marcus has been incredible, really. He's a young man, but what he's done shows that he's got a real wise old head on his shoulders, and that's really as a footballer, to come out and do what he's done has been incredible. It really has.
And switching gears to the club from which you started your English club
Yeah.
career, Leeds United. I really want to talk about that. Last season, they won the championship in tremendous fashion. A great moment for all the football fans around the world. Why do you think the Leeds has struggled to gain the same consistency in Premier League so far?
So Leeds have done incredible well under Bielsa. They got up last year. Could have got up the year before, but lost in the playoff. I think it was to Derby actually, but went up last year. And I got to say, they've been like a breath of fresh air. Every game they've played, the way they play, the style they play, leads to a really entertaining game. They'll score goals. They'll concede goals as well. They were unlucky at Chelsea at the weekend to lose 3-1. They're very much in the game. And I think they've done particularly well. And I lived in Leeds for 8 years. I played for Leeds for 4 years. I still travel back to Leeds. It's not that far from here. We've got a great rivalry with Leeds. But I think if they finish in 12th position or mid-table, it'll be a great season for them. The Premier League, coming up into the Premier League, is so tough. Sheffield United did a great job last season, really did. They're struggling this year. And Leeds, who are different. They're different in the way they play. The way Bielsa wants his team to play is a full press for 90 minutes. I think they've done well, and I still think they'll do well this season. But for them, I think to finish mid-table would be a fantastic achievement. It really would.
And like you said, Bielsa has completely changed the fortunes and the structure of Leeds since he has come in. If he sticks for long with this club, do you think Leeds could return to the glory days of the past?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this year is they've just got to, well, usually when you say about teams coming up, they've got to stay in the Premier League. But I think they'll be better than that this year. I think, as I said, I think they'll be mid-table. And then they can build on that. It's a tough place. I know it's a tough place to go, Leeds. The fans are very passionate, particularly from Manchester United. And obviously next season, hopefully, the crowds, the grounds will be full. Leeds will be an even tougher place to go. The fans get right behind them. And I can only see Leeds getting stronger and stronger under Bielsa. I really can. He's got a style that's different to most other managers. He's got an incredible record when you look at his resume. You look at who he's managed before, Argentina, Bilbao, and the success he's had. It's a great coup Leeds getting him as a manager in the Championship. So, in my opinion, they've got to try to hang on to him as long as possible, because he's like a breath of fresh air down there. And they're a really good team to watch and entertain, which is really good for the Premier League. And one of these, Leeds is a city where, if you look at Manchester and Birmingham and London, they've all got two teams. Sheffield, they've all got two teams. Leeds is a one-team city, and the city get right behind them. So if they get a foothold in the Premier League and keep Bielsa, they'll get stronger and stronger as the seasons go on.
Just one final question I have for you, and that's Manchester City versus Manchester United at Old Trafford this Saturday. Your prediction, if you have to make one.
Well, I think it'd be very tight. I think, we need to win the game and keep ahead of City. So I think we will win 2-1. We won 2-0 last year. We scored really late, second goal really late on, McTominay. But I expect a few goals, and I hope we win 2-1.
Thank you so much for taking time out for speaking to you. You are a legend.
Not at all. Thank you very much.
It's a pleasure talking to you.
Pleasure. Thanks. No problem at all.
Thank you.